Hey, what's going on, everyone? I'm meteorologist Jonathan Kagas with another edition of Tropics Watch, and we have more to talk about than what we did last weekend as we get ready to close out the first full month of hurricane season. Weird areas are starting to light up. Of course, we were talking about one of those that rolled off of Africa just a couple of days ago, and a new area. So we're pinpointing two areas in the tropics as highlighted by the National Hurricane Center. We will get all into that in a little bit. Bonus day of Tropics Watch for you as we are starting to see a few things light up. If you like the content that we are putting out, hit that subscribe button to subscribe to the New 6. ClickOrlando.com YouTube page. Every time we post one of these updates, you will get an update. Also hit that little bell, see that ringing over there. That will allow you to get those updates for you as we roll on through hurricane season. Hopefully all of these continue to stay fish storms, if you will. Again, we were coming at you from the New 6 studios in Orlando, Florida. And things again trying to get a little active. A new area has popped up as highlighted by the National Hurricane Center near the North Gulf Coast. These ones are always interesting because they are homegrown and they don't give you much time to react. So we're going to talk about that one first, and then the one that has kind of stolen the headlines over the last couple of days, as that has been the lone member in the game, if you will. First and foremost, though, in the tropics, early on Saturday morning, a new area was highlighted. Now, this little blob, if you will, of yellow that highlight by the National Hurricane Center has not even developed yet. It's going to be off of a dying cold front that kind of stalls over the North Gulf of Mexico. And this is where we would typically look to have one of these things develop in the early going of hurricane season, close to home, off of a cold front. So what I'm showing you now is the spin in the atmosphere. We meteorologically refer to this as vorticity. And you saw that little stretch come across the central part of the country. That was the cold front that will eventually stall over the North Gulf Coast. Now, as we get into the early stages of the work week, here we go on Monday. Want to point out that little ball of red. So this is the area of spin that we're going to eventually watch as it gets out over the open waters of the North Gulf of Mexico. Watch what happens, though, as we move into Monday night, Tuesday into Wednesday. You see that little spin there. I'm going to show you that again. And we're looking for these little balls, if you will, the little ball of consolidation of red indicating some decently strong spin in the low to mid levels of our atmosphere. And you see around West Texas, Western Louisiana, the West Gulf Coast, North Gulf Coast, early next work week, the opportunity for a short-lived system developing off of that cold front is going to be possible, taking you forward in time. And you see that spin even further there in and around the west coast of Texas, in between Houston, Galveston, Corpus Christi. The potential is going to be there, again, really anywhere from the western side of Louisiana all the way down into Mexico, for the opportunity for a short-lived, quick spin-up tropical system. I want to show you the water temperatures in this area. It's crazy warm. So again, if something were to get going, and again, these small systems have a history of changing intensity quickly, we could fire something up. Look at this off the coast of Louisiana, 90 degrees. Near New Orleans, also 90. Towards Galveston, 88 degrees. I mean, this is crazy warm in the North Gulf of Mexico. So if something were to get going, it would be able to strengthen and sustain itself for a couple of days while it's out there. Now, land is very, very close, so it's not going to have a ton of time if something were to develop here to get its act together. But again, it's just something interesting, something to watch. And again, this is where we would typically see development this time of the year, off of a cold front that worked its way off of the mainland of the country and into the eastern Atlantic or the northern Gulf of Mexico, where we are typically not looking for, at least climatologically speaking, not looking for development, is in the main development region where we have officially Invest 94L. And Invest just stands for an area of investigation as designated by the National Hurricane Center. When it becomes an Invest, that means those spaghetti plots that we all know and love start to be ran on those individually for the storm. and starts to pay extra special close attention to that system. So the National Hurricane Center now, as of Saturday morning, giving this a 30% shot to develop into a tropical system over the next 2 days and a 60% chance to develop over the next 5 days, and it's looking likely. Now, you see that flare-up of thunderstorms out ahead of it. We're going to take a closer look in a second. That is not 94L. It's the one that looks a lot less impressive back to the east. You see that little swirl, though, a few showers and thunderstorms around there, but not the more intense convective activity, if you will, out ahead of it. That is not what is 94L, and that one out ahead is not anticipated to develop. A closer look again shows that there are 3 little tropical waves that we have out in the main development region. Again, atypical for June. This is something we would look forward to as you go forward into late July, certainly August, as you enter that Cabo Verde season, as those storms really get going and roll off of Africa. But there's one tropical wave there that could end up following what is now 94L. There's 94L into the Caribbean, but not anticipated to develop as likely as 94L is. And then there's that little flare up, that tropical wave out ahead of 94L. Now, what is going to be interesting is we can use kind of what is going on with that wave to potentially forecast what could happen as 94L moves over those same very warm waters and environmentally conducive area that predetermined wave or that area of low pressure out ahead of 94L gets into. We could end up seeing it get its act together as it moves over that area. So that's something that we're going to watch over the next couple of days for that to happen. Running the computer models on this, and the spaghetti plots, again, are in a very good agreement. I'm going to show you why that could be with a disorganized system. But nonetheless, want to take this towards the Windward Islands, the southern portion of the Lesser Antilles, as we get into the early part of this upcoming work week. So by around Tuesday, we will see that system, whether it's tropical or not. So rain chances are going to increase for parts of the Windward Islands. As we get into Tuesday, by the time we get into Wednesday, this will likely enter the Caribbean. And then really, as we get in towards the latter stages of the first week of July, as we get into July 1st, July 2nd, it will likely be in the Western Caribbean. Now, earlier, if you've been following, earlier in the week, it was given the chance to start to gain latitude, if you will, to start moving north towards the Yucatan, potentially getting into the Western Gulf of Mexico. That scenario is still possible. So those really into Texas, into the Yucatan Peninsula, eastern Mexico, on the Gulf Coast of Mexico, still want to pay attention to the progression of this over the next few days and the next week, really, as this is going to be one of those ones that we watch for a very, very long time as it makes its long trek from Africa through the main development region into the Caribbean and beyond. But big ridge of high pressure. The Bermuda High is going to be very, very strong, and that is going to help to suppress this. And this really emerged from Africa very, very far south as well. So that already got the southerly train rolling here. But I want to show you this, and I want you to focus on that teal color, if you will. Teal represents high pressure. That red or rust color represents low pressure. And you see there's not much of that low pressure around, but really focus on where all that teal is. Eventually, as we get into June 28th, so that's 3 days from now, you start to see that little rust color. So it starts to strengthen a little bit, kind of in that same area as we saw that tropical wave, that more juicy, beefy tropical wave out ahead of what is officially that 94L that we are watching for the potential development. But you see a little bit of some circulation at the surface in the forecast wind direction, and then also that rust color showing up. So a deepening, a strengthening of that area of low pressure as it approaches officially the Windward Islands on the 27th into the evening of the 28th. Watch what happens further. Some strengthening possible as it moves into the Western Caribbean. You see the closed isobars there. More of them anyway, representing that this likely will strengthen once it gets into the West Caribbean. But also notice how far south this particular model keeps what could be this tropical system. Notice how much high pressure is in there. Strong Bermuda high. Really going to shut the door from letting this get far north towards Puerto Rico, toward Hispaniola, toward Cuba, toward Jamaica even. It's just suppressing it down and forcing it further to the west. So I don't think this is coming to Cuba, at least eastern Cuba. Certainly Florida looks like it's out of the realm of probabilities. Still, though, on a lower end of the scale for probabilities, there's still a lot of time for things to change, of course. I mean, we're looking towards July 1st and it's June 25th. So this is still 6-7 days in the future. It's on the lower end of probabilities, but still, if you're watching in Mexico towards Cancun and into Texas, the door isn't completely shut for that, but we would have to have a system coming in off of the United States to kind of pull that up, or a significant weakening of the western edge of that area of high pressure for it to kind of feel that weakness, if you will, and kind of start gaining latitude a little bit. That is on the lower end of probabilities right now. The highest probability would be head towards Central America as we get closer towards the 4th of July holiday, 2nd, 3rd, 4th itself. So that's something that we'll be watching really for Central America. So really in the short term, the highest threat to the United States could be that short-lived, quick spin-up system off of that cold front along the North Gulf Coast, whether that be Louisiana or parts of Texas. So really that's the heads-up play for early next week. And it highlights something that a lot of people do, and I've seen it happen already. The next named storm is Bonnie, by the way. Call 94L Bonnie, but that system that could get going along the North Gulf Coast may beat what some have called Bonnie already to the name. So it'd be interesting to watch. Should be a race against that again. What could become and I keep on saying could, but what could become the next name system along the North Gulf Coast may end up beating that, and that hasn't even developed yet because that cold front that will go into igniting it or being the catalyst, if you will, for that potential system has not even moved off of land yet. I wanted to show you just something interesting here and talking about how kind of rare it is if 94L, that disturbance over the central Atlantic, does get going, how rare it is. Overlaid the storms on this map, all those little lines there, the historic storms of June since 1950. So where things typically develop, and you see where that thing could get going early next week in the North Gulf Coast, that's way more likely for areas we watch for development in June than where 94L is. This is the development zone that the National Hurricane Center has highlighted for the area of potential development over the next 5 days. X marks the spot there where it currently is. And you see there since 1950, only 3 storms have developed in June in this area. That one little blue line there, that purple line, and then that red line. So it would be a very uncommon occurrence if this, in fact, does develop kind of in this region just to the east of the Antilles over the next couple of days, or in the Eastern Caribbean especially. And then there's been nothing that got going in the western side of things. So and again, those are tropical storms or greater. So depressions are not highlighted, at least on this map. So it would have to be a named storm to really be uncommon in that part of the world. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. There is your Tropics Watch update for Saturday, June 25th. Come at you every Sunday, but giving you a bonus day here because we have some things going on in the tropics to talk about. And again, the main threat to the United States has not even developed yet, and it's going to be that short-lived thing that potentially develops anyway, off of that cold front that is over the central part of the United States. Again, we're going to have another update for you on Sunday in the next edition of Tropics Watch, but 2 areas kind of interest in the Atlantic now as we try to get a little flare-up of activity as we close out the first full month of hurricane season. Again, if you like the content that you are seeing on this screen, we'd love it if you subscribe to Tropics Watch. Again, you will get an update on your phone or on your YouTube channel, on your YouTube subscription, if you subscribe to clickorlando.com and News 6 on our YouTube page. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, hit that subscribe button. You can hit me up with any questions on my Facebook page. That's going to be Jonathan Kegas News 6, or on Twitter at Jonathan Kegas, and there's much more content over there. Thanks for tuning in, guys.